February 24th, 1978. 5 friends piled into a turquoise Mercury Montego, riding high on adrenaline. They had just watched their favorite college basketball team win, and the drive home to Yuba City, California should have been a simple 2-hour trip down a familiar highway. Locally, they were known simply as the Boys, 5 inseparable friends, aged 24 to 32. While they all lived with mild intellectual disabilities or psychiatric conditions, they were highly functioning, independent, and fiercely loyal to one another. Tomorrow was a massive day for them. They had their own basketball tournament, and they had laid out their uniforms on their beds, excitedly preparing for the morning. But morning came, and those uniforms remained untouched. The boys never made it home. Their families panicked. This wasn't just out of character, it was impossible. Days later, investigators found a chilling clue. Their car was discovered 70 miles in the exact opposite direction of their home. It was abandoned on a treacherous, unpaved mountain path deep in the Plumas National Forest. A freezing, remote area they had absolutely no reason to visit. Here is where the mystery begins. The car wasn't broken, it wasn't out of gas. With a simple push, it could have been freed from the light snow. It was a perfectly safe, heated shelter. Yet, for reasons we still don't understand, the 5 friends left the safety of the vehicle. Wearing only light jackets and sneakers, they walked straight into the freezing, pitch-black wilderness. What terrified them enough to abandon survival? Welcome back to Chronicles of Cold. Today, we open the file on the American Dyatlov Pass, the Yuba County 5. But the forest wasn't entirely empty that night. There was a witness. Joseph Shones, a 55-year-old local man, was stranded on that exact same dirt road. While trying to push his car out of the snow, he suffered a mild heart attack. Lying in the dark, fighting through excruciating chest pain, he saw something in his rearview mirror. Headlights. It was the boys' turquoise Montego. It parked just behind him. Shones watched through the blizzard as a group of figures stepped out of the vehicle into the freezing night. But what he saw next makes this mystery infinitely darker. Shones swore he saw a group of people walking around the car, and among them, a woman holding what looked like a baby. Desperate and terrified he was going to die, Shones rolled down his window and screamed into the dark for help. The response? Absolute silence. The figures instantly turned off their flashlights. They stopped talking. They stopped moving. They just stood there, hidden in the pitch-black, freezing night, ignoring a dying man's cries. Moments later, the figures vanished into the tree line. When Shones finally found the strength to walk down the mountain the next morning, the Montego was completely empty. Who was the woman with the baby? Were the boys even in that group? Or had they been forced up that mountain by someone or something else? Winter slowly turned into spring. The impenetrable snow finally melted, forcing the Plumas National Forest to reveal the secrets it had buried. On June 4th, a group of motorcyclists were riding near a remote forestry camp, nearly 20 miles uphill from where the car was abandoned. They noticed a terrible smell coming from a rusted, abandoned Forest Service trailer. When they pushed the door open, the mystery of the Yuba County 5 mutated into pure nightmare. On a bed inside lay the heavily decomposed body of Ted Weiher, one of the 5 friends. He was wrapped tightly in 8 layers of heavy blankets. His feet were severely frostbitten. medical examiners determined he hadn't died quickly. He had survived in that freezing trailer for up to 3 months, slowly agonizing, before finally starving to death. He had lost nearly half his body weight. But here is the detail that keeps investigators awake at night. Ted Weiher did not have to die. He didn't have to freeze. The trailer had a functioning propane heater. There were matches, paper, and wooden furniture everywhere, yet no fire was ever lit. They endured sub-zero temperatures in the dark by choice, and even worse, he didn't have to starve. The trailer was fully stocked with military rations and canned goods. There was enough food in that single room to feed all 5 men for an entire year. Only a dozen cans had been opened. The rest of the massive stockpile was ignored. Ted Weiher lay down in the freezing dark, surrounded by endless food and fuel, and simply allowed himself to waste away. Why, what invisible terror kept him paralyzed in that bed? The nightmare inside the trailer was only the beginning. Search and rescue teams fanned out into the unforgiving wilderness. Over the next few days, the grim reality of that night finally came to light. The remains of 3 more of the boys were discovered within a few miles of the camp. They had not survived the winter. Their bones had been scattered across the forest by wild animals. 4 bodies recovered, 4 tragic ends. But what about the 5th? Where was Gary Mathias? Gary simply vanished. He has never been found to this day. The only trace of him ever recovered were his leather sneakers left behind inside the trailer. Investigators believe Ted Weiher, suffering from agonizing frostbite, put them on his swollen feet, while Gary took Ted's heavier winter boots and walked back out into the snow. But Gary's disappearance is the most chilling piece of the puzzle. You see, Gary Mathias was the only member of the group with a severe psychiatric condition. He suffered from schizophrenia, and without his daily medication, which he hadn't taken in days, he had a documented history of violent, unpredictable episodes. Did Gary suffer a psychotic break in the freezing darkness? Did he terrify his best friend so completely that they chose to hide and starve in a freezing trailer rather than face him outside? Decades have passed, yet investigators are no closer to the truth. How does a minor detour turn into one of the most baffling mysteries in American history? Today, 3 main theories remain. Theory 1, the psychotic break. Without his medication, did Gary Mathias experience a severe schizophrenic episode? Some believe he became violent and forced his best friends out of the safety of the car. Did he terrify them so completely that Ted Weiher chose to slowly freeze and starve inside that trailer rather than risk stepping outside to face Gary in the woods? Theory 2, the hunt. Did the boys see something they weren't supposed to? In the 1970s, the remote Plumas National Forest was a known hideout for illegal drug operations and isolated dangerous groups. Were the shadowy figures Joseph Schoen saw that night not the boys, but the people chasing them up the mountain? Theory 3, the fatal panic. Perhaps the most tragic theory is the simplest. They took a wrong turn in the dark. The car got slightly stuck in the snow. In the freezing pitch-black night, fear took over. Because of their cognitive vulnerabilities, that fear became contagious. A minor inconvenience spiraled into a collective panic, leading to a series of catastrophic, fatal decisions. We may never know. Gary Mathias was never found. The truth of what happened on February 24, 1978, was swallowed by the unforgiving snow of the Plumas National Forest, the Yuba County Five walked into the darkness and into legend. What do you think happened that night? Let us know your theory in the comments below. Subscribe to Chronicles of Cold and stay warm out there.